These photos clearly show you violating the landscaping agreement. You have 24 hours to comply.
This is completely out of line. I am well within my rights as the homeowner.
The first thing I saw was my own trash can in a blown-up photo, taped to a stop sign, glowing under the cold blue flash of a work truck. It was 6:15 a.m. The air bit my feet through my socks. The street smelled like wet asphalt and someone's burnt coffee. I walked into the cul-de-sac and realized it wasn't just one picture. They had turned the whole circle into a gallery of my life. My lawn. My kids' chalk drawings. My car parked half an inch over the line. A red sign in the middle said, "Violations. Do not copy." Our HOA president, Linda, stood there smirking like she had just won a game. That was the morning the HOA posted 63 pages of photos on the cul-de-sac. Then I pulled the deed. I tried to laugh at first. I said, "Linda, you know you could have just talked to me, right?" She didn't even look up from her clipboard. She said I owed $300 in fines for each day of noncompliance. She pointed at a picture of my son's basketball hoop like it was a crime scene. A few neighbors peeked from their windows. One older guy stepped outside, saw Linda staring him down, and stepped right back in. It hit me that this wasn't just about grass length. It was about control, fear, and one bored woman who loved power more than peace. I started with the simple path. I emailed the board. I asked for a meeting. I even brought muffins to the clubhouse on May 3, 2024. They sat in front of me with their arms folded while Linda read my violations like a police report. I said, "I work nights. If my trash can sits out till 9:00 a.m., it's not the end of the world." No one answered. On the wall, I saw a list of calls they had made about me. One entry burned into my brain. Timeline item 1 April 5 at 4:27 a.m. false trespass call. They had called the cops because my cousin dropped me off and turned around in the cul-de-sac. Patterns of false reports can be prosecuted. I said that out loud. Linda just smiled. Walking home, something snapped, but in a clear way. I wasn't going to yell. I wasn't going to slash tires. I was going to drown them in their own rules. My line in the sand was simple: my kids should not be scared to ride their bikes because of one woman with a clipboard. That night I sat at my kitchen table with a pot of coffee and my laptop. I pulled phone records, camera clips, and every nasty letter they had ever pushed under my door. I lined up photos, emails, and call logs in a binder. Then I opened the county website and looked up our subdivision. If they wanted to play by the book, I was going to read the whole book. That's when I found it. Buried in the county's public records was the original subdivision file. At the clerk's desk, the file landed with 63 pages. The clerk slid it over, bored, while my heart pounded like I had just robbed a bank. On page 3, in plain black ink, was the plat for our street. The cul-de-sac was not private HOA property. It was a public right-of-way dedicated to the city. The HOA had no authority over parking there. No right to post anything on those signs. And then, cherry on top, the deed showed Linda's new fancy shed was sitting 3 feet into that public easement. In our state, an HOA can only enforce rules written in the recorded deed restrictions. The city had the power now, not her. I emailed the city code office, attached scans, and asked a very polite question. Is our HOA allowed to post personal photos on public right-of-way and issue tickets for parking there? I CC'd the board, just so they could feel the heat starting. A week later, the city inspector replied and copied even more people, including Linda. He said he would address it at the next open HOA meeting since they seemed confused about their jurisdiction. I showed up early that night. The room hummed with whispers. 3 neighbors were already filming on their phones. Linda started the meeting with her usual power voice, but the inspector raised his hand and asked her, in front of everyone, to explain her 63-page photo wall. You could see her face drain as he flipped through my binder and the deed I had pulled. He read the line about the cul-de-sac being city property, then looked at Linda's violation notices like they were jokes. He said their public posting of my family's photos on city signs violated privacy and sign ordinances. He said the HOA had issued at least 11 bogus parking warnings with no authority. Then he turned to her and said her shed encroached on the public easement and would need correction. The room went silent for half a second, then someone in the back actually snorted. Neighbors held their phones up higher. That 63-page wall that was supposed to shame me had just turned into evidence against her. The fallout was fast. The city ordered the photo posters removed the next morning. The police officer who handled that 4:27 a.m. trespass nonsense called to apologize for the confusion and told Linda that future false calls could lead to charges. The board called an emergency vote and removed her as president. All my fines were erased in one short email. Someone leaked the story and soon there were posts online of the cul-de-sac photo wall with captions like HOA boss gets owned by her own deed. Kids rode their bikes through the now empty circle like it was brand new land. Now our street feels normal. The new HOA president actually waves with his whole hand, not just 2 fingers and a sigh. We have a block cookout planned, and Linda keeps her head down, dealing with permits for her shed fix and, I heard, a nice little warning letter in her file. The stop sign is just a stop sign again, not a bulletin board for one woman's anger. Last week, my older neighbor brought over lemonade and said he was glad somebody finally pulled the deed. I just smiled, listened to the quiet street, and watched my kids draw chalk rockets on the pavement without looking over their shoulders. Please follow for more HOA showdowns like this. Do you think she got what she deserves? Comment below.